Welcome to Moessieurs for this new video dedicated to ESP, your virtual Mod XM and Montage M instrument, to work on a Cubase project. This video is the last of a dedicated series about ESP using. I invite you to check out this other videos to get a better sense of what and how to work on this kind of project. In this project, maybe after you recorded the ESP tracks, you added your guitarist who came in with his guitar. Your singer came in to lay down vocals too. After recording that, compared to what you'd done with the ESP effects, you might find yourself thinking that it doesn't fit anymore. In this video, I'm going to explain what I did and what I use on my projects to avoid these pitfalls. You'll see, it's pretty simple to do and set up, and it all makes sense too. Just before we start, I'll remind you, if you like the video content, don't forget to click on the thumbs up, and I'd even encourage you to click the boost button to highlight this video in YouTube suggestions. In the previous video, we did the render in place, or bounce for the ESP MIDI tracks I have here. We done a mix that seemed good. That's good, and can be enough if you are only working with ESP inside your project. As I told you in the video introduction, perhaps you add other virtual instruments, real guitars, lead vocal and choirs. When you remix all of this, you could thinking the reverb settings applied to the keyboard, brass or bass on ESP parts don't fit with the others tracks added. This can be even more problematic, especially if you're using a delay here as a variation. That's not the case here, it's a chorus. For that video, I will just use reverb as an example. If you have a delay, and you want to have the same delay for the others virtual instruments, vocals, guitar, sometimes sync to the project tempo, that will not be possible if you work the delay inside ESP alone. A second point to correct, we also saw that little issue with the drum track, where the crash cymbal just cut off abruptly after the render in place. I'll explain how to fix all of these on that video. The simplest one to solve is the drum's crash cymbal stopping early. The final MIDI note is here, seems to be fine in place, but a crash cymbal continue up its stop sounding alone. Don't hesitate to extend the container and the marker range. And if it will be too long with a long silent time, you can trim it back when you do your final mix, before to export your mixing. Let's go just a little past measure 17 to see if that works. Maybe even up to measure 18. Extend the drum MIDI track is enough. By this way, you are sure your crash cymbal sound in a natural way, up to its sound ending. Render in place for ESP tracks is great and let you win time, but take in count that if you done it with ESP reverb on audio tracks rendered, the reverb is fixed. There are software like Spectra Layer that can remove the reverb, but it's not always super effective, and add a process time to be done. If there is not enough, add a reverb to a track that have already a reverb is not great too. I invite you to do things right from the project starting. What I'd suggest to you, if you add others tracks in your project with some VSTi instruments, guitars, vocal and so on, is to not using the ESP reverb for some parts. If it had been a delay as variation in ESP, you would have turned off the send delay for each part or as insertion FX too. The idea is to have the same reverb and delay effect type, or chorus for all your project tracks. One exception, I'm not going to do that for the reverb on the drums. Because the drums are specific instruments in ESP, in the Mod XM, and in the Montage M too. Depending on the drum key, bass drum, snare, toms, hi-hat, if they go through the part insert effects, they have a fixed reverb send. If they don't go through the insertion effects, they have a dedicated reverb send. That's going to be difficult to reproduce that in your project in a short time amount. Of course, you can record each drum key separately on a dedicated track and redo everything if you want, but it will take time. To optimize your timing, I'd advise you to use the ESP reverb for the drum kit and percussions, listening to your drum with reverb and making sure it sounds right. On the drums, it won't have the biggest impact, and if needed, remade one drum track render in place with a reverb send adjustment is not a big deal. As long as it sounds good, you can use ESP reverb for the drums. Don't set the return to 0, the drum will not have any reverb in that case. Just set the reverb sending to other parts to 0, variation to reverb to 0. If it had been a delay as variation, I would have set everything to 0. That's the same idea for the ESP parts panning. Once the render in place is done, if you want to go back on the panning, comparing to the others tracks, you need to change once again in ESP and remade a render in place. What I recommend to you is to set the pan as center. On the drums, that makes perfect sense because each instrument is already positioned in space. In general, you should not touch the drum kit panning, whether here in ESP or in your Modex M or Montage M2. Don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell to get notified when I release a new video. And if you want some guidance on getting started or to deepen your knowledge of using your Yamaha synthesizer or stage keyboard, you can ask me for a Moessieurs masterclass. It's online through Zoom. What I'm offering isn't just to explain features, it's also a working way to optimize your instrument using, complete with all the tips I use, both on stage and in the studio. You'll find all the information to contact me in the video description. All is ready now, everything is set up. We're no longer, excuse the word, been bothered by the reverb and the pan, and we're going to work in a different way. I'm going to redo the render in place, stopping the video recording, and come back when it's done. I invite you to check out the previous videos I done to understand how I do the render in place and my previous tips about mixing. Render in place is done. I also muted my MIDI tracks as I explained in the previous video. I renamed them, moved them near the main out fader. Let's hear if the issue with the crash cymbal is solved simply by extending its MIDI track. There you go, by extending the MIDI track, we now have a crash cymbal complete playback up to its natural sound ending, problem solved. Now, on all my ESP audio tracks rendered except the drums, there's no reverb. What we are going to done is similar to what we have for the ESP or Modex M performance system effect. Let's go to Project. Add a track. And here, choose an FX track. You'll be able to choose from all the DAW effects you have. In Cubase you can use the Reverb X effect. There's Shimmer Reverb in the Cubase Pro version 2. Check out the reverb type available, there are lots of interesting options. This one is from Arturia. Let's choose the Room Reverb. Call the FX track Reverb. It have a nice design. Like on the Modex M, you have preset choices that are already set up for you. Let's go with this one. I've applied a system effect. If we compare it to what we had on the ESP, I didn't set a send value for each of my audio tracks. You can understand that we're using the same concepts and the same approach as in a Modex M performance. This video can also help you understand things about Modex M system and variations effects way to work. Here, it's on audio tracks, but it's the same principle. No need to set up this for the drums. Let's start with the keyboard, which is my most convincing example in that project. It's a little hidden by my Moessieurs logo. You need to open the lefted track panel. And there, you see, we have the sends. I'll be able to activate a send, post-FX, or pre-FX. I'm not going to explain that. Let's keep things simple. There, set it to send to the reverb FX we have add. Let's activate it and choose a send value. You'll be able to hear how it sounds. Let's set the keyboard on solo. We have set up the send reverb equivalent we had in ESP with a dedicated reverb available for all audio tracks. I'll be able to use it to achieve the same consistency across all the instruments in my project. Of course, maybe for the vocals, you'll need a specific reverb. There's the vocal chain in Cubase Pro, which is absolutely excellent, offering great effects processing dedicated for vocals tracks. Let's do exactly the same thing for the other tracks. All you have to do is send it to the Reverb FX track, activate it. Set a send value. For the brass now. I can add a little bit on my bass too. There you go, activate it, set a send value. For the bass, we're not going to add too much reverb send. Our bass isn't in an empty space, it's in a room, or at least in a studio, so we can add a little reverb send. One other advice: be careful with solo tracks earring test. When playing a solo, you might think, that's not enough, or there's too much. But in the mix, they will be all blends together. You need to think about the global mixing. My advice is always to listen to the reverbs in solo as bass, then manage the final sends values with all tracks playing. I'm not going to play the same song all over again. You can adjust that fader FX track. We could compare it to ESP reverb the return, simplifying things. Here we have the reverb FX track level. Our bass, keyboard, and brass tracks are going into this effects bus. This is the output volume of the reverb effects track. You can work on the panning now too. Adjust them in Cubase tracks. The keyboards are pretty high-pitched, so I can send them on the right. Since the brass is lower-pitched, I can send them to the left. Generally speaking, for drums, as I told you, don't change the pan. You can do it little for the bass, just a tiny bit. In general case, a bassist play through a dedicated amp that is mono, just place it in your virtual mixing pan close the drum. Let's do this for all the instruments tracks in the project. You'll be able to mix all of this easily, taking advantage of Cubase excellent effects. Personally, I always enjoy working with Cubase for the band's live audio mixes. And I can also adjust the volume of each tracks independently. That's the whole point, render in place with separate tracks and managing the effects. Don't forget, before exporting, to make sure your markers are set on the good range. Otherwise, you'll end up with the cymbal getting cut off again. And there you go, it's extremely simple. Click to export. Audio mix, and there you go, you could export track by track if you wanted to. Set a name and export it as an MP3. If you want good quality, I recommend you to choose WAV format, not necessarily 32-bit, but at least 24-bit, which will give you a great definition. That wraps up this little series on ESP producing a project. I hope this has cleared things up for you, that it'll make you want to work with Cubase AI, which comes free with your Mod XM or Montage M, or another sequencer software of your choice of course. And that it help you to create and bring your musical projects to life. That's video ending. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found the content interesting. Feel free to click on like, and I also invite you to click on the boost button to highlight this video in YouTube suggestions. As official Yamaha expert and specialist, if you want to learn more quickly how to use or take in hand your Montage M, Mod XM, ESP, Camelot Pro, or any of the Yamaha synthesizers and stage keyboards that I use, or also Cubase MIDI and audio recording with them, you can request an online masterclass with me. You choose your session topic, and you can download your session video to watch it as many times as you need. If you are a Moessieurs YouTube community member, you will get 15 minutes extra time for each session. How to become a member? Just sign up on YouTube. It's a monthly subscription of €3, and you'll get more than just the 15 minutes extra time. You'll get to see all my videos in preview, without ads, almost 1 month in advance, as well as my private videos without ads too. Don't hesitate to join the Moessieurs YouTube community. See you soon for a new Moessieurs video.